So, Juliana, thank you for joining me, and I really appreciate your time here. I know that we've been wanting to do this for a long time, but things just didn't align. But finally, here we are. So, once again, thank you for joining, and I really appreciate your time.
Yes,
Um,
thanks for having me.
we, yeah, so we are here to discuss and talk about this very amazing service that you have created. It's called Making Authentic Friendships. Do you want to start by telling us what it is and the inspiration behind it?
Yeah, sure. So I founded Making Authentic Friendships, which is an interactive web app that enables individuals with special needs to make friends based on their age, diagnosis, interests, and geographic location. MAF are also my brother's initials. My brother Michael has autism and ADHD. He's 2 years younger than me, and he is higher functioning, verbal, everything like that. But as we were growing up, I was a cheerleader and had a lot of friends and a lot of plans all the time, and he never really had that. So as we got into high school, growing up, it became more of a prominent issue, him not having plans and him feeling very lonely, and that ended up actually making his behavioral issues worse because of his feeling that way, which is understandable. And then I went away to college and became the president of the Autism Awareness Club at college, and I absolutely loved it. I loved raising awareness and doing something for my brother. And so at that time, I was like, okay, if I could think of a way to create a business around my brother, something that's missing in his life, then I could ultimately do this in the real world. So I started thinking, and of course, one of the first things that came to mind was the fact that he's very lonely. He struggles with social skills, and he doesn't have a lot of friends. So I was thinking that if I could make a technology like an app to connect people, there's probably people in our area that live close enough to us that are actually going through the same thing. We just don't necessarily have the means to meet them. So that was kind of my thought process behind it, and the rest was history after that.
And clearly it has worked, right? So I saw that. Is it just today that you hit 13,000 followers on Instagram?
It was
So
today.
you have a huge following, and you have been on lots of like news channels and news shows, etc. So it seems like there is a huge demand for a service like this, and rightly so, right? Because I feel like there's not a lot of options available out there that are more geared towards like people with specific needs, right?
Right.
Uh, can you share with us like how many like members you have, or something around like in that area, like how many members and how often people sign up, etc.
Yeah, so we actually have over 3,000 users to date. So right now it's a web app, which means it's a website that has the capabilities of an app. Um, the iOS and Android versions of it will be launching literally any day. We're just waiting on approval from Apple, which has been much more difficult than we anticipated. Um, so on the web app, we had it launched. It's been launched about a year and 4 months, and it was really just kind of a beta, trying to get it out there in front of people, get users, get feedback, make changes, things like that. So it was really never meant to be like the actual product. It was just kind of like the beginning of it. But we have a lot more users than we anticipated on the web app. So we have 3,000 in all 50 states and 40 countries on 6 continents, which is
Wow.
insane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have users in parts of the world that I've never even heard of, which is so crazy. And I'm so blessed for that. But again, we have ran into some issues because, like I said, the web app was really not built to withstand all of this. So we're really excited about the launching of the actual app any day now, which will be a lot more user friendly and hopefully, do a better job of matching people together. Although the web app has done a decent job of doing that to date, we do have a ton of success stories. And if you look at like a lot of the press I've done, like the Today Show or Lifetime, different things I've done recently, they actually interviewed actual users that have made friends, and you could hear them talking about their experience. So yeah, we have had a ton of success, but of course, I hope moving forward we have an even more user friendly platform and we'll have even more success and growth.
So Juliana, so based on what you just said, the fact that you started it as a beta, right? I mean, it seems like it just grew organically, if I may. So how did that happen? How did people learn about your platform, even though it was in beta? Like, what happened that it became such a huge success?
So the biggest thing for me was creating proof of concept through social media. And for me,
Hmm.
I'm huge on social media, both personally and in my business. I think it's a great tool for not only to kind of advocate for yourself, but also for any product or service you might have. So for me, social media what played a huge part in that, specifically Instagram. And I know you already spoke that I just hit 13,000 followers today, which is something that I've worked very hard for. Um,
Hmm.
and that was really key because by the time we launched the web app a year and 4 months ago, I had already had close to 10,000 followers. And all of these people were kind of already invested in the idea and in wanting to use it or wanting their loved one to use it. So that was huge, just getting all of these people behind it before we even had the product. Because when the product launched, they were pretty much waiting for it. And within the first week, we had hundreds of users already because they all were waiting for it. And then the growth, again, has a lot to do with social media. I mean, I'm very active on it, always posting new followers every day. And of course, I do a lot of things like this. So I do a lot of podcasts and blogs and expos and, you know, a lot of speaking opportunities, but I really don't do much like paid advertising in that sense, or like ads or anything. I mostly
Hmm.
just do it organically through the Instagram, through social media, and then through these type of things. But considering the growth we've had, it's kind of people probably think I do a lot more advertising than I do, because what you're saying is true. It has been a lot organic, but again, it's not without hard work into the social media. So I think that's just a very major key for people who are trying to grow their own thing because it's so easy. Social media has made it so easy to find your target audience, whether it's through other pages that are similar, have a similar audience, or hashtags. It's just so easy to find exactly the consumer you're looking for. Um, so that's been huge for me. Huge.
And Juliana, so everything that you said, first of all, I think your success story is so phenomenal, and it's a case study in its own right, where like you use social media and you're active on it, and you grew everything organically without paying for like sponsored posts and things like. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I work in also in technology, and I mostly work with businesses, and I feel like, and I shouldn't be saying this because those people will probably hear this, but there's such an interesting way that young people like you approach businesses, and you understand like the power of social media and blogs and podcasts, etc. Whereas if you look at the B2B, business to business area, uh, it's not picked up yet, so they still try to like scramble with the thought of, okay, what is this podcast, why should we write blog posts, etc. Anyway, I just thought of that because I come from that background, right? So it's very interesting to see you, who is this like a clear success story, and a lot of businesses and individuals can learn from you for sure. But I digress. So, Juliana, tell us more about like, how does one sign up for this service, and what can they expect when they log into Making Authentic Friendships?
So I'm not sure exactly when this is going to go live on your platform, but when it does, the app might be out. I hope it is.
Mhm.
It was supposed to launch 3 weeks ago, as I said, and it's just been kind of back and forth trying to perfect it based on the terms and conditions of Google Play and the App Store. But I hope by the time this goes live, the app will be out. So if it is, then you can find it in the App Store or on Google Play by searching Making Authentic Friendships. But right now, and this will still be available, the website will still also be available once the app launches. But right now, it can be accessed on makingauthenticfriendships.com. And, if you go to the site, there's a landing page, there's the story about my family and I, me and my brother, as well as links to all of my press that I've done, all of my articles, all of my TV stuff. So you can watch all that. And then on the top right, you could either sign in or sign up. So if you're going to sign up, we're going to just take some basic information from the user, First thing we're going to ask is if the individual is using it for themselves or if a parent or caregiver is using it. And a parent or caregiver could be using it for themselves to chat and mingle with other parents and caregivers, or if the person who has special needs is under the age of 13, not allowed to have a profile of their own. Therefore, a parent or caregiver can then create an account and then make a play date or whatever. So that's the first thing we're going to ask, and then obviously the sign up process is going to be a little different based on what you pick. But if you're signing up as an individual, we're going to ask for an email address, of course, first, your name, your birthday to make sure you're 13 or older, obviously for child protective laws. Then we're going to ask your diagnosis. So we do serve a lot of different diagnoses, from physical to intellectual special needs. So I talk a lot about autism and ADHD because that's what Michael has. But we do serve Down syndrome, CP, spinal bifida, epilepsy, hearing impairment, sight impairment, just to name a few. So we list about 14 diagnoses, but if your diagnosis is not there, there is an other where you could type it in. And that's the only thing where you actually type in anything because it's designed to be very user friendly in the sense that it's a lot of big buttons, everything's dropped down with pictures attached to it, just to make sure it's usable for a variety of ability levels. And then after diagnosis, we're going to ask your interests. So that's just like general things. Again, we list a bunch: sports, movies, things like that. And then you pick three. And then we're going to ask something you'd like to do with a friend. And obviously, because of Corona, we're not really encouraging public meetups right now. But in the future, this is going to serve as kind of a suggestion for where you could go in your community. So it's going to be things like bowling, mini golf, going out to eat, things like that. So that when the time does come, we could suggest those types of local places in your community to meet with your friend. Um, and then we also ask your zip code, obviously. And something that's confusing is, like, if you sign up for yourself, you're going to see your dropper on the map right where you are, like location specific. But on someone else's map, it's not going to be there. Like, it's not location specific. It just drops it within your zip code. So you'll even see if you logged in that there's some users' pins like in the water. It's because it's just dropped within the zip code. So people get nervous about that, but it's not specific to location like that. And then the final thing you're going to do is create an avatar. So it's designed like a game, and it's supposed to be fun and interactive. So you could create an avatar to look like yourself. So you pick hair color, skin color, eye color, clothes, everything like that. And then finally, you sign the terms and conditions to make the profile. And then you'll see everything on the map. You'll see users in your area, and they're deciphered by color. So general users are going to be the blue droppers, and then parents or caregivers are purple. And yeah, then you could begin clicking around, deciding who you would like to chat with. And then at that point, you could chat with people. And then in the chat, there's actually conversation prompts built in, because I know that's one of the hardest parts for my brother and a lot of individuals is actually knowing what to say to make and keep conversation. So the conversation prompts are just general conversation starters as examples for them to use in the chat. And that's one of the features that we're actually adding to on the actual app front. It's going to be more specific to your interest type thing, the conversation prompts. So if you say you like sports and your interests upon signing up, then your conversation prompts might be like, I like sports. Do you? What's your favorite team? Things like that. And yeah, then you just chat and you earn coins. The more you use it, the more people you chat with, the more coins you earn. And those coins could be used to buy things for your avatar. And it sounds confusing when I explain it, but it's really not.
No, no, no. It made complete sense. And I feel like well, first of all, there's a lot going on in that, there are lots of options for any user. They can chat, they can, find friends, etc. And it seems like it's done in a very simple manner. And I'm just amazed by how many things you are allowing these users to do within that, making authentic friendships like interface, right? That's pretty phenomenal. And the fact that you not only do you have a website, but you can do all those same things in the app as well. Again, coming from a technology background, I can understand that that's a lot of work, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. And there's a few things that I haven't even really publicly talked about yet that are going to be new to the app. such as we're really going to focus more on building life skills. So every day that you sign into the actual app, a question is going to pop up, and it's going to be either around internet safety or social skills building. So it's going to be a multiple choice type question, and it's going to either, ask you about the appropriateness of a response to a conversation question, or, something about internet safety. And then you answer it, and then you earn coins for answering it. And every day you're going to get a new one of those. So we're really focusing more on, trying to build life skills and teach individuals things that they could hopefully use outside of the app as well as inside. But that's going to be a huge focus moving forward for the actual app.
And that in itself is phenomenal. So, like again, based on what you just said, it seems like you're adding more and more features to the app. I mean, in my head, while you were explaining this, I was just thinking that maybe this can become like a job portal as well, where you can find jobs that are based on your like needs, etc. I mean, the options are endless here. It seems like.
Yeah, and I'm always thinking about growth into other avenues and, other different things. And of course, in the future, I hope to do that. Hopefully, we'll continue to see success on this front. And when we do, we will start venturing into other things.
That is amazing. So again, great story here, Juliana. I must commend you for all the work that you've done, because I don't think, like, when you look at the website, I don't think a lot of people understand how much work it is, right? So everything that you're explaining and sharing here, it just goes down to show that you work really hard. You and your brother, you work really, really hard, and all the success that you've gotten, you really deserve it, So again, kudos to you for everything you've done. Uh, so one thing I want to ask you also is, so you brought up the pandemic, so like because of COVID, it's not the same anymore. So how do people, like the users who sign up for it, how are they using it during COVID, and what are there any like special benefits they see in that they cannot go out and meet people, but through MAF, they're making some special connections and they're doing things that they perhaps cannot do out in the physical world.
Yeah, I mean, we actually have doubled our database during the time since Corona started, mostly because a lot of these individuals felt isolated and lonely before the pandemic. But now that the pandemic is a thing, they were out of their work programs and out of school and, being around less people than ever. And, having an outlet to really continue growing, using their social skills, chatting with people, um, just doing life skills, like all those things are so important. Um, and it's really crucial to have them, working on those things consistently, even if they're out of their work program or out of their um, school or whatever it is they do during the day. So it has been really crucial for us to give people that opportunity. Um, and we've gotten great feedback, of course. I mean, during the quarantine, obviously it was hard for everyone, but especially for individuals with special needs, having their lives be turned upside down, just having them have something to look forward to and be able to go on the site and maybe chat with someone or just be able to click around. Like, it's a silly thing, but people just look forward to it, and it really gave them something to look forward to. And that's huge. It's a huge win in the book of someone with special needs and for a parent. So yeah, that's been huge for us, and I am very happy with the timing of it all because, God forbid we do go into lockdown again. The app's going to be launched, so I'm really glad that we hustled and did that during the time that everything was back up and running. And again, I hope we can offer even more services now if that does happen again.
Are you going to, I mean, I'm sure you're going to continue to work on this, but like, I feel like you will get a lot busier with this app and this service, because like you keep adding more and more features, and you're seeing how like the users are appreciating this, uh, especially during the pandemic. Do you see MAF as like a Facebook perhaps, where it started as something where, hey, friends connect and you see each other's photos and whatnot, and then now it's a way of life, right? So do you see MAF going down that path?
I mean, I do. And of course, I do want to serve as many people as possible. And, I'm in a lot of countries. I'm in all the states and a lot of countries already. And of course, I want to reach all of the remaining ones as well. Um, Although I do feel some sort of way about there's a fine line. Something as big as Facebook, part of the reason why, because ultimately Facebook could do something similar in the sense of helping you connect with people. But since it's so big, it can't really be monitored in the sense of making sure it's safe. Um, it's just so big, and it's just there's so many users, and they can't really monitor it that well. So that's my fear in getting that big is just not being able to monitor everything and keep it safe. And that's what's nice about it being small right now. Um, Although, of course, I would not be against that in the
Mhm.
future. Of course, I'm just going to keep growing and keep working with it as it goes. But it's hard to say. And of course, I would be willing to try to implement different things if that did happen. It's just I get nervous about that part of it, just because it'll be so
Yeah,
hard to monitor it, keep it safe, which is the issue with things like Facebook. Um, so I don't know. It's hard to say.
understood. Um, I've asked you a lot of things. One final question. Is this a free service or is there a fee that the users have to pay?
So right now, and the past year and a half, it's been free of charge. But when the app launches, we are switching to a subscription based. So it's going to be either yearly or monthly you could pay, and it's not a lot. It's $39.99 for the year or $4.99 a month. So I definitely wanted to make it something that was attainable for most people, like regardless of, what their family background or anything like that. Because that's the most important thing. But in making the app, obviously, I have to do a lot of upkeep. And there's a lot of things that go into, sustaining it as an app. So that was important to us. So yeah, I mean, I don't personally believe that most people will have a problem with that, especially because we are adding a lot of new features. We're going to be offering a lot more things with the actual app. Not to mention, it's going to be more user friendly. A lot easier for people with push notifications and whatnot. So I think it's fair, but we'll see how people react to that. I'm nervous, but what?
I think it makes sense, right? And especially the fact that you have to, like you said, you have to sustain it, maintain it. There's a lot of work that goes into it. So from that regard, it's fair, but also like $40 a year, it, it's manageable. I feel like
Yeah.
so. I don't think for what it offers, like $40 is a steal. I feel like so. That's awesome. So will the website stay free or?
Yeah, the website will stay free for now. I'm not sure how it's going to work with having like both be running type thing because the systems on each are a little different. Like the avatar system on the app is a little different than the one on the website. So I'm not sure how they're going to coexist together. We do plan to keep them both going right now just because some people, for some reason, might not have access to the app if they, don't have a smartphone or something. So we would want them to still have access to the website. But again, if it's going to cause a problem like existing with each other, then maybe we would have to revisit it. But the website will still be free, but again, it's going to be a lot less user friendly, and you're not going to have a lot of the features that people I feel are going to really, find beneficial. And it's just there's been a lot of complaints about like the user friendliness and the lagging on the site, which are things that are just bound to happen. Whereas on the app, you won't have those issues. So it's also just like a convenience thing.
Understood. Um, well, Juliana, thank you for sharing all this information and all your insights. Any parting thoughts for our audience?
No, I mean, I think that I hope if any other special needs siblings or family members are listening, they should, I always encourage people to just like do things for their loved ones. If you see something missing in their life, try to do something about it. I mean, that's what I did. And like now I'm in a position where I get to be in Forbes and be on TV and also get to help thousands of people. So you never know where it's going to take you. And, I think just go for it.
Excellent. Well, Juliana, thank you for all the inspiration. Thank you for, like what you've designed and what you've built. Obviously, you've made a lot of people happy and you've made a lot of people like be self-sufficient as well. So appreciate everything that you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. A big kudos to you and your brother. And thank you for speaking with me this evening. I really sincerely appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Sure thing. All right, Juliana, have a good night.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.